Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of One Man Stream. About a year ago, in episode 32, we did a tutorial that was centered around the building blocks of vMix UTC, the widgets. And at that time we covered the button widget, the list widget, the score and timer widget, and we also covered the region and volume widget. So today, a year later, we're going to circle back and we're going to call this Volume 2 of the Widgets Basics, and we're going to cover the TextField widget, the clock widget, the playlist widget, the T-bar widget, and we're going to cover one of the external data widgets, NDI Monitor. So we're going to have that and so much more for you on today's episode of One Man Stream. We're just going to go up here underneath where it says Widget, and we're going to click on Widget, and then we're going to click on TextField Widget. And we're going to make us a couple of these, but we're going to start off with this one, and we're going to call this one Visiting Team, and we're going to make this one blue. And we're going to increase its size a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to duplicate this, and the way that we do it is we just hover over these two pieces of paper that look like they're on top of one another, and it comes up Duplicate Widget. So we're going to click right there, and you can see the original was Visiting Team, and this says Visiting Team Copy. So we'll make a couple quick changes to this. We'll call this Home Team, and we'll change the color to red. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to bring in a graphic that we created in a previous tutorial. This is actually our boxing MMA graphic, and we're going to put it right down here at the bottom. Now we're going to go up to Visiting Team. We're going to click the cog, and then we're going to click on the map button. So we're going to click the plus button here under Input. We are going to use the new MMA No Images graphic. We're going to use Blue Fighter for Visiting Team, and we're going to click OK. Now over here under Home Team, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click on the plus button. We're going to go under Input. We're going to choose that same input, but this time we're going to choose Red Fighter for Visiting Team, and we're going to click OK. Well, you can see when we did that, it came up with Blue Fighter in the text field and Red Fighter in the text field, which is indeed what it has over here in the output, as you can see. We're going to go up here to Visiting Team, and we're going to type in Joe Smith. And you can see when we type in Joe Smith in the Visiting Team, Joe Smith comes up here under Blue Fighter. Let's go over here and we'll type in Bobby Jones, and Bobby Jones is Red Fighter, and you can see where Bobby Jones comes in here under Red Fighter. Okay, now that's just two examples of a TextField widget. We're going to do one more. Actually, I just noticed under this widget, I actually have a couple things displayed over one another. I have the round one of however many rounds there are, and then the round number superimposed over that. So I'm just going to turn off round text, and it's going to leave this one here round 1 of 3. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that, and I'm going to make me one more text box over here where it says Home Team. I'm going to click on the Duplicate Widget again, and I'm going to click the cog button. I'm going to call this round 1 of X, and we're going to make it green, and we're going to change under the title mapping, we're going to change this to where it says round 1 of X, and we're going to click OK. Well, you can see where that comes in round 1 of 3. Well, let's go ahead and change this to round 1 of 6. This is going to be a 6-round fight, and you can see on the graphic where it changes to round 1 of 6. It's a very useful widget, and it definitely is one that I use very often. what we're going to do today is we're going to use the clock widget. So all I did was go up to widget, I selected clock, and we're going to call this automations, and we're going to click the scheduler button twice. So under this first execute link, we're going to put in start stream, and under the second execute link, we're going to put in stop stream. Now over here, this is military time, and it's 9:13 Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to make this 9:17 because there's a few things I need to do before we start this. And we're going to set this up to start on Monday. So we're going to start the stream at 9:17, and we're going to stop it at 9:17 and 30 seconds. So let's click OK. Now we have to make us two other buttons. So we're going to go up here to hit widget, and we're going to select button, and we're going to call this one start stream. And we're going to click or check the execute box, and under link we're going to type in start stream, the same thing we put in the execute link in the clock. We're going to click on script here. We're going to go to the output scripts, output functions, and we're looking for start streaming, which is right here. So we have that one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate this one. We're going to bring it down. We're going to modify it a little bit. We're going to call this one stop streaming. We're going to change the link from start stream to stop stream. And then on the script, we're going to change it from start streaming to stop streaming. So let's double check this real quick. We have this start stream, stop stream on the links. Over here, this one is execute link start stream, and this is execute link stop stream. So let's go to this view, and when this hits 9:17 here, we should see the stream light up here. So we're at 9:16 right now, and this will work for any of the vMix UTC output settings. And you can see right there where the stream comes up, it does go red, which is awesome. So in 30 seconds, we're going to see this go back off again at 21:17:30. So at 9:17 and 30 seconds, we should see this stream light go back off. There we go. But what makes this different than some of the layouts that I've done before are these two windows right here, and then these buttons over here, and I'll show you the automation that I put into these buttons over here. So first of all, we're going to create a couple lists, and I'm going to show you how we do that. And then after we create those lists, we're going to populate those lists with different elements. This one right here is the audio clips, and this one right here is the video clips. And I'll just go ahead and show you how this works real quick. We'll just pick, let's pick this one right here and click play. And you should be able to hear that audio playing. Now, some of the automation that I've done with this is when I click the play audio, it's automatically going to mute the microphone over here that says talent. Let me go ahead and do this. Let's lock this setup and get rid of all these designations. So over here, if you look under audio, we have master, talent, audio clips, and video clips. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the audio clip again. And when I click the audio clip, there's a few things happening. The talent microphone here, you'll see this little button right here that has like the volume icon. You'll see when I click the audio button that this icon right here goes red, which means it's muted. And then you'll be able to see that the audio is starting to play. So let's do that once more. So when I push this button, the talent mics get muted and the audio starts to play. Now this one right here, when I click this, it's actually going to be moving this video spot to preview, so you're not going to be able to see our desktop right here, but I'll show you how that works. I'm going to click this video play button.
Tired of paying 10%, 15%, or more to sell your cards, comics, and digital collectibles? How does 1% sound? Too good to be true?
And you'll have to take my word for it. It did the same thing. When I clicked the play video button, the talent was muted, and over here where it says video clips, you could see the playback going on over here. So what I did is when I created the inputs, I came over here and I clicked add input, and I clicked on list. Okay, so I just click on list and I click OK. And what it does is it brings in, or it forms a list for me. And this here, I actually have two. The video clips are in list 9, and the audio clips are in list 8. So let's go to clips 8 and 9, or inputs 8 and 9. And here's input 8. So this one right here for audio clips, you can see from these controls, we can add, edit, remove, shuffle, and then down here we have play out, auto next, which means it'll just go right through this list. It completes one and goes to the next. Auto first means it's automatically going to take you to the first item in that list. And then loop means it's just going to keep playing until you tell it to stop. Now, I don't use these buttons here because in my setup, I have these buttons over here, and I have automations with these buttons. So I set up my own buttons to operate the audio. Actually, it's these buttons right here. And I set up my own buttons to operate this audio along with some other automation that I put in here. We'll click the drop-down menu here and we'll go to video. You would do the same thing if we wanted to add a video. So let's say we want to add this one right here. We just click on it. It brings up this box right here. Say we wanted to add this one. We just click on it and then we click open. And you can see it brings it in right here. We'll go ahead and highlight it and click on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, March 4th, Sunny and the Comic production coming to you live from Veterans Memorial Coliseum. We got a whole stock card lined up for you guys.
And then we stop the video and it brings us back to right here. So let's take a look at some of the automation that we have. So now let's go ahead and look in these buttons right here. When I click the play audio, as I showed you earlier, there's a few things that happen. So let's see what's going on behind these buttons right here. So when I click play audio, the first thing we're doing is we're executing a link that says play audio, and then we're executing a second command that says toggle mute B, toggle mute B, which means we're toggling the mute on and off for bus B, and bus B is where we have the talent. This right here is bus B. Where did these links come from? Well, let's go up here. When I created this as a playlist widget, and I'll just go up here to where it says widgets, and right here is where it says playlist. So you would click on that and create a playlist widget. So when I did that, I checked the boxes over here to the left of these items. One is previous item for previous audio, player pause. I have that link set up as play audio, and then next item, I have that set up as next audio. And you have to select the input, and I selected the input which had all the audio clips on it, and for me that was input number 8. Let's go over here to the video clips. Same thing, I selected video clips. When you create a list, both of those actually appear in the list here as an individual input. So you can select either the audio or the video. So also check these buttons over here for previous video, for previous item, play video for play out, and then for the next item I chose the link next video, and that's where these come in. If you recall, it was play audio, and then where did this come from for the execute link for toggle mute B? Well, that's going to be up here. And when I set this up, toggle bus B, I check the box right here to toggle the bus, and then there's also another choice that you can make for toggle muted. So that's actually what we're using on that execute link, toggle mute B for toggle to toggle the mute off and on this particular bus. So that's where these two come from. So when I click this, you're going to see two things going on. You're going to see the audio start here in the audio clip, and then you're going to see this button right here go to red, which means it's muted. And indeed, that's what happens. Very similar for the play video, execute link, clear all. So I want to make sure that I have no overlay channels on. So I want to clear all overlay channels. Then we use that link, play video. And then we are going to, once again, while the video is playing, we don't want to hear the talent, so we're going to mute their bus as well. So the only one that I didn't show you was the clear all, and that comes from right here. I set this up, execute link for clear all the overlays, and there's a function that's called overlay input all off, and that's how we turn all the overlay inputs off. You can also set them up for the individual overlays. So let's click this, and you can see right here we're using a different command, overlay input X off, and you have to put in what overlay number that you're dealing with. So we're on this particular button, we're setting overlay 4 off. So it'd be the same command for all of these buttons, except we're just designating a different overlay channel. This is overlay channel 1, overlay channel 2, overlay channel 3, and as I showed you, overlay channel 4. What you see is actually the UTC layout that we're using for today's episode. And it's a very simple layout, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do this. The very first thing I'm going to show you is right up here at the top, which is the T-bar. Let me get rid of this, and then I'm going to show you how to add a T-bar to your layout. We're going to come over here, we're going to click Widget, we're going to click T-bar, we're going to name this T-bar, T-B-A-R, and there's a couple parameters that you can set with this. I'm going to make it slate gray in color. You can either make it vertical or horizontal. I'd prefer to have mine vertical, so I'm going to change this to vertical. And then under mode, if you hit the drop-down menu here, there's two. There's one that's A/B and the other one that's snapback. I'll show you the difference. Let's click OK. And let's resize it and bring it over here as part of our layout. Okay, so right now we have it, as you can see, on AB. One more thing that I want to do is I'm going to bring in NDI Monitor. So let's go ahead and external data, and then we're going to click NDI Monitor. And we'll go ahead and stretch it out, and for demonstration reasons I'm going to make it pretty big so everyone can see it. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select output 1, and it'll take it a second to populate. And this is what we currently have showing in our UTC layout. This is our UTC layout that I have in program, and this is the NDI monitor. So when I come over here and I use the T-bar, as I click this up, you're going to see where it transitions to what we have in preview. Now let's go back. And you can see that it goes back to our UTC layout. Now you'll notice on the T-bar, it goes top to bottom and it stays. If we choose snapback, I'll bring it down. Oops, click OK. I'll bring it up and it changes, but then it snaps back down to the bottom. So we'll do it one more time and change it back, and you can see where it goes back to the bottom. So I prefer to use it in the mode that says AB. It just works out better that way for me. You can set up NDI Monitor and have everything set up perfectly in vMix UTC, but it still not display anything in your NDI Monitor, and the reason for that has to do with your vMix UTC settings. So today what we're going to do is we're going to set up NDI Monitor, and then I'm going to show you what you need to have your vMix UTC settings set up on in order to get this to work correctly. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up vMix UTC, and we've talked about this before, but I'm going to show it to you again, is you want to make sure you have it connected correctly. So let's go up here under settings. And then once that populates, we're going to come down to where it says web controller. And this is what we're looking for, is the IP address. And it's 192.168.1.66. So we're just going to copy that, and then we're going to paste it in just a moment in the vMix UTC setup. So we're going to get rid of what's there. We're going to click on it, and we're going to paste. It brings in that IP address that we got from our vMix settings. You can see that our sync button is turned green. And then when we go to layout, it's going to go ahead and bring that in. And you can tell that it's connected two ways. Down here at the bottom, it says online. And then up here, it says sync, and it has a green light next to it. So you know that it's communicating the way that it should. Now, one thing you can do is, if it's on the same computer as your vMix production, when you go up here under settings, you can just type in localhost. It still remains synced. And then down here it also says online, and we're going to click layout, and everything seems to be okay. So now that we know that we have vMix UTC up and communicating with our vMix production, what we're going to do now is we're going to use the widget button. We're going to come down where it says external data, and we're going to click on NDI Monitor. Then we're going to come over here to the right, find an open space, and click. We're going to make this a little bit bigger. And we have to go up here to settings, and then we have to make sure that we have a certain file right here. That file I've already downloaded. You can see it right here on this PC on my desktop. I keep it on my desktop so that it's handy. And this is the one that we got from the vMix UTC forum. You have to have this additional file or it will not display correctly. And please refer to our very first video, download and installation, and it will show you how to do this. Okay, now if you look here, these are all the things from my computer that are showing up in NDI. The only video asset that I have that's showing up is my web camera, and all the rest of these are audio. Well, where's my output from my vMix UTC production? Why isn't that showing up? Well, that has to do with your vMix settings, and that's what we're going to cover now. So we're going to go up here to where it says settings. We're going to click on settings. And then we're going to go to where it says outputs, NDI, and SRT. We want to make sure that we have these turned on, and you know that they're turned on when the color of them turns from gray to green. So now we have these two that are on. So output 1 is going to show me, okay, here, let me show you this drop-down menu. These are all the different things you can show as your output. You can show your main output, you can show your preview, you can show your multi-view, you can show replay, and then you can show any input that you have in your vMix UTC production. So for our case, we're going to click on output. For our second one right here that we have turned on, we're going to use preview. So we're going to make sure that output 1, where output is selected, and output 2 is where preview is selected. And then this right here is for full screen. You have two full screen options. You have all these different options you can choose to display. So what I generally do, on my full screen 1, I have that as output, and that way if I'm sending my feed to some type of a projector or display within the venue, it's going to show my main vMix output. The full screen, I usually use that for myself during my production, and I'd have that set on multi-view. Well, let me just show you one more thing with multi-view. You have these different options that you can set your multi-view to. What I normally do is I'll customize it. So I'll come over here and I'll click on this button that says Customize Layout, and then you can actually choose what you want to have in your production. So what we'll do, just for sake on this one, we'll have Desktop Capture 1, and then on number 2 we'll have Desktop Capture 2. We'll do Desktop Capture 3 and Desktop Capture 4. Let's go ahead and bring in the one-man stream logo. We'll bring in our YouTube browser. Let's go ahead and bring in our webcam. And the last thing we're going to bring in, and I normally do this when I'm setting up my multi-view, is I bring in my audio, because I want to be able to look at a glance. I spend most of my time looking at the multi-view. I'm able to look at a glance and tell that my audio is on. During intermissions and things like that, we sometimes have to pause the audio, and I just want to make sure that I always have audio going during my production and I'm not sending out dead air. And this is what our multi-view looks like. You can see our preview and our program, and then you can see the inputs that we selected. These are all of our desktop inputs we selected. This is our one-man stream logo that we selected. This is the webcam, this is our browser, and then this over here is our audio meter, so that we know that we do have audio going out into our production. So we did have to do a couple things in order to make that all work. So let's go back to this right here. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go to settings. And what we did under outputs, NDI and SRT, under our two full screen options, we chose output for full screen 1, and we chose multi-view for full screen 2. Well, I actually have multi-view set up to go to monitor 4 in my particular setup, so I'm going to go to display, and you can see on full screen 2 I have it set up to go to monitor 4, and that's what gives us this view. And then go back to settings, and then under full screen 1 I have that set up for monitor 3, and monitor 3 is actually this right here, and that's what gives us our full screen output. The only other thing that I did want to mention, and I want to mention it again, is for our outputs you want to make sure you have them active. They have to be green. They start off gray. As you click them to activate them, they turn to NDI on and they turn green. You also want to make sure you have cameras, calls, and audio inputs on and audio outputs on as well. And that way any other machine that is hooked to your vMix production through your network will be able to access these NDI assets as well. This right here is our output 2, and if you remember on output 2 we had that set up as multi-view, and this is output 1, which is our main output from our vMix production. That will conclude our tutorial for today, where we talked about the UTC basics once again. We doubled back on a tutorial that we did almost a year ago when we introduced widgets for the first time. This is Widgets Vol.2. I hope you found today's tutorial interesting and informative. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and a like, and make sure that you do subscribe so that you'll be alerted as soon as new videos are posted. As always, if you get a chance, please stop by our website, onemanstream.com, where we have our graphics that we've created throughout this tutorial series, along with many of the vMix UTC controllers as well. As always, thank you so much.